From Careco TV, one of the longest-running outdoor programs on television today. Exploring the country and the coast in search of adventure. From the mountains of the Great Northwest to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, this is Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. This week, we welcome Yamaha's Steve Nessl to our deer camp for whitetail hunts with the Smith & Wesson Performance Center 44 Magnum Stealth Hunter and the Thompson Center TC Venture Rifle. But first, we're heading to Cotulla, Texas for the annual International Hunter Education Association's Heritage Hunt.
We have 3 lucky students and 2 lucky hunter education instructors that submitted an entry card from the Hunter's Handbook into a national drawing, and they were selected to go on this fabulous dream hunt down here on the Hickson property in South Texas. The first thing that we do when the kids and the instructors come to the camp is sight in their firearms. We want to make sure that they're comfortable with the firearms that they'll use for the hunt. And also, of course, when you're sighting in, you're making sure that your shots are good, and to make a good shot when it comes time to taking it is one of the tenets taught in the hunter education class.
The most important thing we can do as hunters is be ethical and make the cleanest kill possible when we try to harvest our animal. So having that rifle sighted in properly and getting the shooter and the hunter most comfortable with that rifle is best, because that's our ultimate goal, is to make a clean, ethical kill on that animal.
I'm in Cotulla, Texas, and I'm here to shoot some whitetail deer and whatever else they want me to shoot, I guess. I heard about this hunt by doing in the hunter education program, and in one of the books they handed out, there was a little piece of paper that said something about winning a trip of a lifetime, and I figured I might as well do it. There's nothing to lose, so my luck, I got it.
I honestly didn't even know he did this, and he did it online, and out of 700,000 kids, he was one of the 3 that got picked. I don't think anything can top it. I mean, before, when we were flying here, he said this is already the best. And he says, I just know it's gonna be the best ever. This is the best time, the best airport, the best people, and you know, he talks about it every night. Unbelievable that he did it with 1 shot. I honestly couldn't see it out of the deer stand, so I just sat in the corner, you know, and I'm like, oh, thinking, is he gonna do this? Is he gonna do this? And all of a sudden, there went the shot, and I honestly didn't know he was that good. I just wanted to give him a big hug, and I knew I couldn't, because, you know, it's a mom thing. And when he found that deer and says, it's here, I found it, it was the best feeling that he got to find his deer in the dark, and he did it all himself. My dad was a huge hunter. Before Trenton even got into hunting, my dad had passed away and gave him orange, and we got one of my dad's guns, and we hunted Dad's land, and he's, you know, enjoyed time with his grandpa. And now I believe my dad's up in heaven watching his grandson.
I'd like to thank Cabela's, IHEA, all the people here now, and then just everybody.
For more information about the International Hunter Education Association and the Heritage Hunt, please visit ihea-usa.org. Coming up, Steve Nessl from Yamaha gets the chance to hunt during the rut in varieties of settings. Stay tuned.
Keeps ice for days, stays tough for a lifetime. For $250, you'll be one happy camper. Cabela's Polar Cap Equalizer Cooler. Great price, lifetime guarantee. Only at Cabela's.
The full line of Yamaha ATVs and side-by-side vehicles with class-leading durability and reliability. All real-world tough.
The art of the hunt is not painted with a broad brush. Its eye is in the details. The note on the refrigerator. A set of broadheads, tried and true. The well-worn boots, soaked in doe estrus. And a Garmin Rhino. The only GPS with two-way radio. Clear the rhubarb out of the freezer. It's whitetail season in Rhino country.
For sale, Lakeside Getaway. Solid construction. With mudroom. For $200, no mortgage necessary. Cabela's West Wind Dome Tent. Great price. Lifetime guarantee. Only at Cabela's.
Since 1984, Sawyer Products has offered the most technologically advanced solutions for protection against sun and bugs. Sawyer Picaridin insect repellent is effective against mosquitoes and flies. It's safe on you and your gear. And to maximize your protection, use a combination of picaridin with odorless permethrin for your clothing and gear. Sawyer's Stay Put sunscreen will keep you comfortable and getting better protection for even longer. You're already outdoors. Sawyer keeps you there. High-Vis Shooting Systems knows that your shooting performance matters in all conditions. All high-vis shooters experience faster target acquisition with our durable light wave sights. Featuring easily interchangeable light pipes, light wave sights give your eyes the exact sight picture you crave. Shoot high-vis. See what you've been missing.
Many said that we were just obsessed when we started, that there had to be an easier way to smoke food. As time passed, the Bradley family created a lineup of Bradley electric smokers that has made it easier for the novice or even expert chef to get perfect results every time they use it. Grab yourself a Bradley smoker and take your cooking to an all-new level.
What does it take to make Evercalm deer scent? It takes a deer farmer who raises whitetails. It takes mixing the special blend of Evercalm, testing each batch.
That smells good.
And then pouring each container. Once it's cooled, each container is cleaned, examined, and packaged for shipping. It takes the finest deer herd and a great team of people to make the best hunting scent available. Evercalm from Conquest Scents.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, is brought to you by Garmin Verb. Life, camera, action. Cabela's, it's in your nature. Yamaha ATV, real world tough. And by Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. Yamaha's Steve Nessl arrives at deer camp in the afternoon for a 4-day whitetail hunt, and he quickly starts it off with the Smith & Wesson Performance Center 44 Magnum Stealth Hunter.
All right, we all got ears? I shot at the range first. I reconfirmed how much I love to shoot it, and two, that I'm actually pretty good with it. I don't want to come off as bragging, but for me, it's an easy gun to shoot, and if you have, just a couple things dialed and you're not scared of it, which there's no reason to be. I like this gun a lot. That's awesome. A little low and right. This is a fun gun to shoot. I don't even worry about the kick at all. I just try and get my grip right. Go out this afternoon and have a good time.
see her. I can't get the dot on her. There it is. Put it in the front left shoulder. She's down right over here. Whew, this thing's awesome. Oh my goodness. All right, shot her about 25 yards that way. Saw her start to plow up right there in those bushes in front of us, making a ruckus, and I think she's right over here, so. Oh, there she is. And I plowed her front left shoulder, just like I thought. This thing right here is, it's a whole lot of fun, and it is very, very efficient. I think we did pretty good tonight. Take it back. I don't know if we need it for camp meat this week. If we do, more than happy to donate. But if not, I'm definitely more than happy to take her home too. So she won't go to waste. We got a little bit of herd management in the books tonight.
Pretty good poke for me with a handgun first time out. I was on the board. I was, one hunt in, a couple hours in camp, and I already had a doe on the ground, hanging meat in the cooler, really excited about the momentum I had going, and it was time to transition 8 hunts, 4 full days. Let's make a plan about going after a buck.
Up next, Steve changes things up a little bit. He puts down his handgun and grabs a Thompson Center TC Venture rifle for the next whitetail hunt.
The outdoors. It's been my playground for decades. I enjoy everything about it. Like me, I bet you also look at the outdoors as your own personal playground. And like me, I bet you're always looking for the newest challenge. So come join me in my Smith & Wesson Performance Center handgun, and let's share a new experience in the outdoors. Performance when it matters most, from the Smith & Wesson Performance Center.
Incredibly compact, perfectly balanced, deadly accurate. Shooting 340 feet per second, the reverse draw Vortec RDX is performance engineered to take down big game. Horton by 10 Point. Adrenaline fueled.
Heavy duty, rugged, and designed for the big game hunter and angler. The Food Saver Game Saver Titanium Vacuum Sealer has the power and performance to seal in the freshness of your game and fish for up to 3 years, 5 times longer than standard storage methods. And with its extra-wide dual and repetitive sealing capabilities, that's a ton of big game savings. Tough tested and rated 4.8 out of 5 stars by outdoorsmen just like you. The Food Saver Titanium System, it's a true game changer.
When you're out hunting, make sure you're carrying GroveTech. GroveTech is designed specifically for the rigorous demands of the hunt and sets the standard for strength and ruggedness when out in the field. GroveTech products have simply built the best tools for the job and are proudly made in the USA. Go hunt. We'll carry the gun. GroveTech.
Stealth Cam. Proven reliability. Proven quality. Proven performance. Stealth Cam continues to push the boundaries of technology and innovation with its next generation of trail cameras. Proven performance in extreme conditions. Proven. Stealth Cam. Join the trail cam revolution.
Oh, nice shot.
You put the cool in life. We put the cool in coolers. Arctic Ice.
Protect it or lose it.
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 Engel's got the original high-performance cooler and a whole lot more. Engel coolers, go with the original.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, is brought to you by Smith & Wesson Performance Center. Performance when it matters most. Walker's Game Ear. Protect it or lose it. And by Conquest Sense, hunting and dog training sense. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. Well, we're at deer camp in Bracketville, Texas, with our guest Steve Nessl from Yamaha. Now, after he took a doe with a Performance Center Stealth Hunter, today he decided to hunt with a Thompson Center TC Venture rifle and headed out to the stand called Sinkhole, looking for mature whitetail bucks.
I haven't sat there before. I've heard a lot about it. You know, it's game rich, a lot of different types of animals coming in. We've got walking orders that pigs are fair game, and that's, you know, a whole other component to my hunt this time was pigs need to go. And we're just out there looking, and right away there's pigs. Was on the board, you know, after the first night hunt with a doe. The very next morning I'm on the board with a pig. It turns out that wouldn't be the only pig I took that morning.
I think I hit one with my first shot this morning. That was a double right there. Because I got a big lane. I got one gimping out. So we got 2 shots, 3 pigs.
So it was a good sit. It was a lot of fun, great spot. I mean, you're out there looking and it's gorgeous. It's a really nice looking spot, a lot of animals coming through. We did have a shooter deer come through, a shooter buck. This one came in and I could tell right away he was a young deer, and he was a big deer, but he wasn't one that we were gonna take. I mean, this is just something about, you know, the aging process that I've learned or am still learning over time that I knew I had to respect. So we watched this deer walk around for probably 2.5, 3 hours, and in my mind, posing half the time. A little frustration maybe, but at the same time knowing the right thing to do is exactly what we were doing, which is waiting to find an older deer, getting rid of some pigs in the meantime, and then we're just going to find a place to go that afternoon to continue our search. So the evening hunt on my first full day, my first full day of looking for an older buck deer, we go to a place called IHEA Ridge, and I haven't been to this spot before. And the reason we went there was because of the sun. It was the afternoon hunt, and the sun was going to be setting, but there were no clouds, and we wanted a spot where we weren't going to get blasted. It was pretty warm. Gorgeous spot, and shaded. And so you're tucked in, you're camouflaged, you're comfortable, nice tripods. I had a good arrest for the gun. Everything was set up, and then all heck broke loose. First there was a spike that came in that didn't care we were there. I think he knew we were there because he was there while we were getting set up, and Then his buddy, the Forky, came in, and then some, looked like 3.5-year-old 8s came in, and there's some does and some fawns and some more small bucks milling around. And we watched them for a couple hours. And then, boom, in walks is 7. It was, we both had at least 4.5, and again, I'm not good at the aging. I start looking for telltale signs, old looking face, swayed back, pooch of a belly, and just a labored gait, a deer that looks like it's walking a little bit. And then an 8 came in that just will haunt me for a while, this deer will. He's just super, super wide. He had good 2s, super small brows, but good 2s, and then crab claws up front. But he was so wide and such an old deer. I knew right away this deer was old just by glancing at him. And I'm like, wow, he could be one. He definitely could be the one. And just at last light, a heavy horned 8, and we never got really too good a look at him. A heavy horned 8, like really thick horned 8, brown chocolate antlers, comes in, and the original 8 and this new guy proceed to have the biggest battle I've ever seen in person. At that point, for whatever reason, whether it was the threat of one of them killing the other one or antlers breaking off, I started to regret not taking the 8 earlier, because I had ample half hour, 45 minutes to get a good shot. And, well, no, if I'd done it, we wouldn't have seen the fight. But now, wait, they're rutting, and they're still rutting pretty hard. This guy, he may get chased off, he may find a doe, he may break. What did I just do?
Well, Steve just made a pass on a really nice deer, so the search continues. Find out if he can find another mature buck. Coming up next.
Purina's Quick Draw is the perfect solution for attracting deer to your location and providing them with the essential nutrients that will encourage their growth.
Use these blocks where you can, and I promise you, not only are you going to see more game, but the game's going to benefit from you placing it out.
The Bubba Blade 4-inch gut hook, featuring mossy oak breakup country, fashions a high-carbon stainless steel blade built perfectly to meet your needs. Designed for effective precision cutting. The famous Bubba Blade handle, featuring mossy oak breakup country, providing ultimate control when harvesting your game. Bubba Blade, the ultimate sportsman's knife.
The thing about public land is that most people hunt the same old beaten path. The thing about you is, you're not most folks. Introducing the new TC Compass, only by Thompson Center. Follow your own compass with America's master gunmaker.
Image 360 at Round Rock provides professional graphics to businesses and organizations. Our professional team works closely with you to maximize the creativity and visual impact of your design. We do indoor and outdoor signs, banners, vehicle wraps, 3-dimensional signs, window graphics, trade show displays, and more. Contact us today to significantly boost the visibility of your business with Image 360 in Round Rock.
You work hard to put feed where you need it, when you want it. And thanks to our patented SpinTech spinner mechanism that elevates up and down, you'll no longer have feed go to waste due to wind or unwanted varmints. When the motor is shut off, the spinner plate is automatically pushed up tight and sealed against the hopper, protecting your feed. Stop wasting your time and let the SpinTech technology work for you.
Hercules Outdoor Industries is the new leader in hunting blinds. However you hunt, Hercules is the one blind for all needs. Hercules blinds are entirely made in the USA using high-quality fiberglass components that can last through rain, snow, and all those cold winters. All Hercules fiberglass hunting blinds are foam insulated and carpeted, and Hercules Outdoor Industries will arrange to have it delivered directly to you. Find out more at HerculesOutdoors.com. Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, has been brought to you by StealthCam Digital Scouting Cameras. The game has changed. Hercules Outdoor Industries. And by 10-Point Crossbow Technologies. Perfection lives here.
Jeff and I hunted exclusively via the Wolverine this hunt for a couple reasons. One is just he and I. So having a 3-seat vehicle like the Viking wasn't going to be necessary, and the Wolverine, you know, being a dedicated 2-seater was going to work fine for our purposes. And two, it was over on the Haverly. We were hunting, so we dropped in every day. We threw our stuff in the back of the Wolverine and we took off. And it just amazes me how quickly the Wolverine can get over some of those ranch roads in comfort. Not that speed is necessarily a key component to a hunt, but just to be able to get from point A to point B with, you know, if it's cold and you can cut the time, why not? You know, and it's super comfortable, super capable. We got into some spots where we're going to the Whitetail Bluff or we're going to Whitetail Ridge, where it's rocky and it's, you know, just in 4-wheel drive, that thing it's plush and it's capable and it's fun. And to bring the fun into the hunt, man, that doesn't suck. So super capable vehicle. You know, it doesn't have a tilting cargo bed or a 3rd seat like the Viking does, but it fit mine and Jeff's needs just fine, and overall just a great hunt as usual.
After an amazing encounter with big mature bucks yesterday, Steve is hoping to find more bucks today at a different location, at the Whitetail Ridge one.
We sat on the hill and got set up, and there was a blind in there, and we almost got walked over the top of by a couple of deer. It just wasn't a good hunt, to be honest with you. I was a horrible hunter that morning. We got busted, and some spike decided that we were his business and he wasn't going to let go, and he looked at us for 20 minutes, and it was frustrating. It became time to make a plan for the next evening hunt, and I wanted to go back to the place we were the night before. I wanted to go back and find that 8, because now I wanted him. Now he was my trophy. And we went back to the same spot that night that we went the night before, and nothing. Am I ever going to see that deer again? And all of a sudden the rut, which can play in your favor, is playing against me. They're not patterned. You basically are guessing. And what's your best guess? And for us it was, let's go to Whitetail Bluff. So we got into the bluff in the morning and got set up, and immediately I looked down off to our left and there is a monster. I actually thought it was an axis deer. And then the deer gets off to our left and we're blocked. The spot we picked had a bush here on purpose. We were trying to get tucked into a spot. We hardly saw that deer. And by the time it came shooting light, camera light and shooting light, he was gone. We knew he was a 10, we knew he was big, he looked heavy, but we couldn't tell how old he was. You know, we didn't know if he was an older deer or not. And then about the time we're getting ready to pack it in, a legitimate monster walks in. A just ridiculously stud toad of a deer walks in, and I know pretty much right away that he's probably not on the hit list. That he's on a list that Wade's going to say, no, don't shoot that deer. And I look at him and he's too cool. And I could tell by his body and my limited aging experience that he's a young deer, and I never even reached for my gun. Well, hoping someday he was going to be a huge just freak of a deer and a you know, memorable experience for somebody, if not me, then somebody else. We were going to go back to the Whitetail Bluff because we'd moved down a little bit left. We'd taken our bush to the left that had blocked us the night before, taken it out of play, we're moved down. We feel better about the spot we're in on the same bluff, and we're hoping to see that 10. We walked up to see our spot, and there's a bunch of white things, 4-legged white fluffy things walking around down in front of us. I hate sheep. It's about the noise they make, I think. I mean, we were hunting sheep pasture, so for me to say that is pretty hypocritical. There's a lot of good deer down there, and the sheep live there too. What in the world is going on? Where can we go? There's no sheep. I want an older deer, and I don't want to have to deal with sheep, and I'm becoming high maintenance, and all I want is older deer. Just, it could be that 7, it could be that 8, it could be any older deer at this point. Last hunt for me, end of season here in Texas. All I want's an old deer. We're gonna go back to the place we went the first night where we saw the 8 and the 7 and that other heavy horn deer that fought with the 8 that we all know they're pretty much all shooters. All we need is one of them to come in. So we get in super early, and this is the same place we hunted the first night. And all of those usual suspects, I even texted Wade, usual suspects are here, the spike, the forkhorn, the 3.5-year-old 8s that are, they're decent deer, but they're nothing to write home about, and they may get bigger. They might be really cool. There's some does, there's some fawns, and they're all cruising around, and there's some sparring, and there's the regular deal. Tick-tock. Man, it's getting late. It's 4 o'clock, and we've been in there for 3 hours, and they're not coming in, and it's 4:30, and it's 5, and it's 5:30, and it's getting dark, and I'm looking at Jeff, and I'm like, oh man. And it gets dark. That's it. We're done. I mean, it's on me. I could have taken the shot the first night. I think I told Jeff that night, and Wade repeated to me when I got back to camp, don't pass on something the first day that you take on the last. And I did. And that's, you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice. And that's why we took educated guesses in camp. You can't pattern the deer. I mean, Wade went out, maybe 2 nights when I was here because he was working, doing things, and he scored on a ridiculously gorgeous. It happened for him on a 1 evening hunt. And for me, I had 4 full days, and the odds were not in my favor. But this experience right here in no way will dampen my desire to come back. It's always a good time, and even though I didn't get a buck, definitely another successful hunt.
To learn more about the complete lineup of Yamaha ATV and side-by-sides, or find a Yamaha dealer near you, just go to YamahaMotorsports.com. Hey, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Americana Outdoors. Americana Outdoors is a Careco TV production.